The darkness is out to create a construct within the void, a mathematical concept that we know is a false reality, a fake truth through numbers being paired with letters. And these things are meant for the initiates, the people who have learned them degree by degree, a little bit at a time. And that is so that they can feel safe, because they don't want the truth out and open. It's hidden from you, because the real truth of God is available to anyone who seeks it. So an occultist takes those truths and he hides them from the general population. That's why it's so important that we take it upon ourselves to initiate ourselves into the truths of God. We do not need to enter into the Masonic Lodge and wait for someone to tell us any more than you need to go to church to learn the truth. Okay? And I'm not against going to church by any stretch. Go every Sunday. Okay? But you don't need that. What you need is to initiate yourself. You need to go and look. On the screen, you see a little construct that I found here, a little thing that I discovered here while I was looking at the NASA symbol. It's literally just dawned on me yesterday, so I made this. This is an example of self-initiation. I was looking at the symbol and I said, wait, there's a circle around the A and the S. I wonder what that's all about. And I realized immediately, well, A is the first letter of the alphabet. I wonder which letter S is. I counted. Oh, S is the 19th letter. It's a 911. You see, just like 911, the story that you have been told is a construct created in geometry, pairing letters with numbers, a system that is false to construct a geometric shape that you perceive as reality within the void. So NASA may very well be doing that as well. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't go to the moon. I don't know all the details. Some people do believe that, and I have yet to be totally persuaded on such things. You know, maybe there is a rover on Mars, maybe there isn't, maybe they're totally constructing this reality completely. But one thing I've noticed in decodes is that they mix truth and lies so that what you perceive is not the exact truth, but a construct that they are creating. So there's going to be elements of truth within it. But are we doing this space exploration for the real purpose of perhaps creating weapons, of militarizing space? It's possible that we did all these space missions just like we've been told, but their real purpose for why they're doing them is the construct. You see, truth does not just jump in your lap. You have to go get it. So, even God tells us very clearly that that's how it works. In 2 Chronicles chapter 6 verse 1, Solomon, old sun and moon, like sol, solar system, mon, moon, okay, sun and moon, the mixing of the sun and moon, the masculine and the feminine come together, Solomon. Okay, so that in and of itself tells you there's a lot more in the Bible than you realized, okay? Especially if all you did was just learn at church. This is why you need to self-initiate. Well, anyway, 2 Chronicles 6:1. Then said Solomon, the Lord hath said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. Now, I thought God was light, so how does God dwell in darkness? Doesn't light automatically eliminate the darkness? How does that work? Well, let's just try to apply a little common sense here and understand that he's not being literal. Most of the Bible is not literal. Some things are literal, okay? And they're meant to be literal, but this is called a metaphor, okay? God dwells in darkness even though he's light, because what you have to do is you have to look for him. What did Jesus say? Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not. He's not going to hold back. If you look, if you search for him, you're going to find him. What did Paul say at Athens in Acts chapter 17 to the Athenian philosophers? These esoteric people, these people that already understood Hermeticism and so forth to some degree, but they were missing something. And so he said, let me tell you about the unknown God. You build a statue to him, so let me tell you who he is. You're missing something. He says, let me tell you about the God who created everything. And by the way, he's really close to you. All you have to do is just feel after him, and he's right there. Happily you feel after him, you'll find him. That's the unknown God. That's the construct that is real that you have to go find. Now, it is our job as those who do know to not hide the truth like the Masons, like the secret orders, and give it only to people we trust by degrees. No, we're a city on a hill. We broadcast our light openly. We tell everyone these truths. That's why it's so important that you understand gematria and how you pair the letters with the numbers. Not because we necessarily need to use it for ourselves. No, we need to understand what they're doing. It's because we need to understand what they're doing that's wrong with it. But there is a whole lot of sacred geometry that does just simply explain the truth of an eternal creator. Not only the least of which is the whole phyllotaxis thing with the angle that the leaves separate from the trees at 137 degrees, 137.5 degrees or whatever. You look at that and you say, oh, there's a creator. And you look at the flowers and you look at the sunflowers and how the seeds go out in a perfect phi ratio, 1.61. The Greeks understood this and built it into their temples. What's the big one? Can't think of the name of it. The big one there in Greece and Athens, the big great temple, is built according to the golden ratio, 1.68. I always say 1.61 or something. 1.68. And that's because somebody understood something about God, but they were keeping it hidden from the general population. Now, why would you do that? Because if you can hide the truth, you can then use the principles of geometry. You can use the principles of gematria. You can use the principles of sacred geometry and of numbers and of symbology to construct a false reality. If you initiate yourself and you understand the system, you see through the lies. And you can find God for yourself. That's what they don't want. That's why they want you to be initiated. That's why they want you to have to go through rituals. They'll even control your whole life. Celebrity and mind slave are exact same gematria and I think 3 ciphers. Because they want mind slaves. They want to create people with no thoughts of their own. Have you seen how brainless our generation is that's walking the earth today? Good heavens, it's hard to find anybody who is interested in knowing and understanding anything for themselves. If it hasn't come through the system to be purified so that you can absorb it the way they see fit, then you're not even interested in knowing about it. Everything's got to be peer reviewed. Everything has to come from a government agency for me to believe it. And if the government does say it, then you automatically believe it. That's why you think 9/11 was orchestrated by a guy in a cave on the other side of the world. Think about that for a second. And this guy in this cave happened to know all these amazing sacred geometry symbols and numbers that he used to code everything that he did. I'm sure that's real likely, okay? I mean, yeah, Osama bin Laden decided that the World Trade Center equals 77 so that he would fly 77 was it? 77 minutes after takeoff into the Pentagon. That was 77 feet high. 77 minutes after takeoff, it crashed in there. The World Trade Center's 1, 2, and 7. Like um, Pearl Harbor is 12, 7. You know, I'm sure it's Osama bin Laden that was the Thelema worshiper instead of the grandson of Aleister Crowley who worshipped number 93. That's why it was flight number 93, right? That was Osama bin Laden's idea, right? And you saw that body that they threw in the water, right? No, you didn't. Think there might be a reason for that? Guys, it's time that we wake up. It's time we self-initiate. It's time we understand that they pair letters with numbers to create a false reality. And one thing you'll understand, okay, remember I was talking about Solomon, sun and moon. His name literally means sun and moon. Sol, sol, solar, mon, moon. Because he's combining the divine masculine with the divine feminine. His name says it. It's in the Bible, okay? So don't act like it's just some Kabbalah esoteric thing. No, it's deeper than that. It's truth. The Bible encodes a whole lot of Kabbalah symbols. A whole lot of, way more than you know. Okay? Well, he's combining the masculine and the feminine, the sacred energies of both, right there within his name. And we as people need to do that too. We need to self-initiate ourselves so that we can understand these principles, so that we can become one right kind of person. That's why Solomon was wise, okay? He enveloped the idea of masculine and feminine. What we say, the Masonic checkerboard floor is immediately evil. Well, it's evil if you're trying to divide your personalities, or if you're trying to remove the whole idea of a sacred masculine and sacred feminine and blur them in a hermaphrodite sort of way, or turn a boy into a girl, or vice versa, so that you eliminate the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. That's wicked. Okay, that's what Hollywood does. They take these symbols and they create a perversion of it. Haven't you always been told in church that the devil likes to take the things of God and pervert them because he wants to be like God? Well, that's true. But the thing is, God created the geometry of this world. Why do you think the circumference of the earth is the same numbers as the diameter of the moon, 21,600 versus 2,160? Yeah, if indeed that's true. I mean, it's sacred geometry, okay? The sun is 864,000 miles long, and there's 864,000 seconds in a day. Consider that for a second. Sacred geometry. If it is the way they say it is, and I don't know whether that's true or not, but if it is, it's certainly a big testimony to sacred geometry and God using numbers. But you're saying, no, I can't believe that. I can't listen to that because my pastor didn't teach it to me. Really? I didn't learn that in Bible college, so therefore it can't possibly be true. This is why you got to self-initiate. Walk by the light of your own fire. Okay? You have to learn things for yourself. God gave you a brain. He gave you the ability to understand. He doesn't need anybody. You don't need anybody to interpret truth for you, because God said it's right. If you'll feel after, he's right next to every single one of us. That's what Paul said to those Athenian philosophers in Acts 17. He's right there. If you want to find him, you can find him. Just look at your hand. Okay? Count the bones in your hand. 14 and 14 is 28. You ever look at a piano? You know why they call it pi? Because you got the 14 phalanges in your fingers, and you take the 88 keys of the keyboard, and you divide it by the 28, and you get pi. That's why it's a piano. It's not piano. It's a piano. And the ano means year. Okay, 88 times 4 is just a little bit shy of a year, as close as they could get, Still have the 88 in there. 88 is that number for... See, this is why you can't even understand music if you don't understand sacred geometry, okay? You can't. You can't understand anything. You don't think God made music and vibration? Of course he did. So the 88, I did a video on 8s. There's this Chinese restaurant in our mall. It's called Lucky 88. The hospital has the sign 88. You got 88 gas. There's 88 keys on the keyboard. All these eternal, youthful, healthy, eternal, rejuvenating 8s. It's an infinity symbol, okay? So how are you going to understand that? How are you going to understand the music of the spheres like it's talked about in some of the good Christian songs if you don't understand sacred geometry? Obviously the person who wrote the song understood it. So it's okay for you to understand it too. Being so afraid. Who's made you afraid? God's not the author of fear. You think God doesn't want you to understand the things that he made? You think God really wants you to have to go to church to understand things? I'm not against going to church because you can learn more things, okay? Every single person on earth knows something I don't know. Because of that, every single person is my teacher. So you go and you talk to other people and you try to talk to as many people as you can and you try to learn as much as possible. Okay? And sure, you can learn about God more that way because you should not only be learning, but you should also be able to teach. And of course, that's where we have a problem in our churches, isn't it? You see, we have one teacher, or maybe two if you count a Sunday school teacher, and then you have hundreds of people that just sit in the aisles. But God made you a priest. God made you to be able to come before God yourself. Therefore, you should be able to teach the person next to you. Everybody at church should be teaching everybody at church. That's what it's supposed to be about. We're supposed to be helping each other. Instead, we've got this Catholic construct. Notice I said the word construct for a reason. It was passed down to us through a perversion of history and a misunderstanding of how the world works. And it was passed down through Catholicism, down through the Protestant churches, down to our independent Baptist churches even, where we think we have to have a laity and a clergy. It's not what church was. Where did you see that back in the Old Testament? Paul went around from church to church, but the Bible said if any man desire the office of a bishop, he desires a good thing. All you can do is desire it. All these people say, well, you got to be chosen by God for this. You got to have a calling. Where's that in the Bible? You ever thought about that? It's not in the Bible. You don't have to be called, okay? Everybody's called. If you were chosen for salvation because very few look for it. But everybody's called, okay? You're called because you have the right to go look. You have the right to go find truth for yourself. Be bold. Righteous are bold as a lion. Okay? It's the wicked that are fearful. The Bible says the fearful and unbelieving will be cast into hell. Well, what are you so afraid of? Go find the truth. Be bold. Question everything. Question your pastor. Question your Sunday school teacher. Question the people next to you. Constantly ask questions about everything you encounter in life, and you will slowly begin to get the answers. It won't all come at once. It'll come the way you can absorb it as long as you keep asking. You see, don't believe that because you've changed your paradigm and deconstructed an old worldview and had to reconstruct a new understanding of everything you believe that you're done. No, keep questioning. Keep asking. You know how many times I've had to just completely tear down everything I thought was true before in my life and just rebuild it? It just seems like it keeps happening over and over, and I don't mind. Okay? One thing I do understand in this world is that I've been lied to a lot. It's not hard to understand once you see what the world really is. Just keep adding knowledge. Solomon said that a wise man increases in knowledge. For the rest of your life, you're going to have to keep increasing in knowledge. You can't just give up because you think that you've learned everything there is to know. There isn't. It's not like that. If you learn tomorrow that the world's flat and you have to throw everything away and start over, like I did when I first started learning Gematria, for heaven's sakes, I had to be like, whoa, the world is not anything like I thought it was. Here I thought Q was real. Here I thought, I mean, I knew 9/11 was fake somehow, but I had no proof and no way to explain it to anybody. I mean, I understood something was wrong, but I know what. Oh, good. I'm getting a phone call in the middle of a video. You gotta love that. Let me silence that phone here for a second here. Oh, silencing this phone now. Okay, so. Alright, yeah, Ned. And see, that gets me thinking about something else. Maybe that was my reminder to talk about this. Because I was starting to head there and then I forgot. See, that was my wife calling. I'll call her back in a minute. But, you know, was talking about the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, and that's because Jesus said that he was full of grace and truth, aka the masculine and the feminine, or let's say that backwards, the feminine and the masculine in that sense. Grace and truth, grace being the feminine trait, truth being the masculine trait. You know why Solomon said, a man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all these have I not found? You know what he was talking about? He's talking about when you search for wisdom and truth, you're generally talking about a masculine thing. That's why he talks to the sons of men when he says men need to seek after wisdom. Okay? Because generally, I mean, how many women do you see on these channels? Like none? Almost none? Pretty close to none because they're not interested. What are women interested in? They're interested in maintaining relationships. The truth itself doesn't really matter that much. It's more about how you feel and how safe you feel. That's why they don't want you to rock the boat and come home and tell them something new. But this is how it works. I'll tell her every time. I said, if I'm learning something and I believe something and you don't like it, well, there's the door. Sorry. The truth is infinitely more important. But we as people, we need to combine both aspects of our life. Okay? We need to combine both the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. We don't get to just discard it altogether. Women, you have a natural feeling and desire not to rock the boat, a natural grace about you. Decide that you're going to combine that sacred feminine with the sacred masculine and start seeking truth. It's not that you can't do it, it's that it's a secondary aspect of your nature. Men, you are naturally desiring to understand the world, to make sense of it, to desire wisdom. That's why there's so many more men on these channels. However, you need to combine that with the sacred feminine. Does not mean to become a hermaphrodite. That's a perversion. Okay? Does not mean to become a queer. It's not what that means. Okay? It means that you learn grace. That's the second. It's not that you can't do it. It's that it's the secondary to your primary nature. So go and find the opposite of what you are and combine them and create a construct. Be a Solomon, a sun and moon. Pull it together. Okay? And probably, since my kid just tried to come up and I just had to wave her on because she heard I was making a video, and as my wife's trying to contact me, I guess that's news that I need to get off of here and find a little grace. So thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe.